Yes, good evening, Elder Joseph.
Yes, and how are you this evening?
Well, a bit cooler than the usual days. The rain came in today, and yeah, it's been a lot better than
Well,
the previous.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
Welcome to share your faith. Welcome to share your faith. It's a good thing to have you this evening. It's
It's a
not
pleasure to
easy.
be here.
Um, it's not easy for persons to come and to share their faith. Not even to make an appearance, just to have a casual discussion. People are afraid of cameras and videos, etc. And one of the pleasant surprises that many of, not many, but all of the young people who have asked us readily volunteered without us questioning the whole situation as to why they should share their faith. Whereas I get a lot of pushback from adults and
Adult.
senior people. So it's good to have you on today and share your faith.
Yes.
And I do hope that someone will be blessed by you sharing your faith. Usually, our host is Mr. Elder Kem Tong. He just advised me that he's just on his way home. So I'm going to proceed this evening
Okay.
do the interview. Um, would you care to share with us your upbringing, your early childhood life? What was it like, your youthful age? You're still in your youth, but I'm talking about your teenage, etc. You care to share your upbringing, the struggles, whatever it was, with us?
Okay. Well, there are so many struggles, trust me. But I would make mention specifically maybe how leading up to getting into the church, maybe for sure. Because as you would know for sure, like I'm very passionate about football for sure, and that was something that I was struggling with, like to draw the line between actually coming, because for sure when I from since I was I can remember maybe 6 7 whatnot, I've been coming to church, but I never actually got baptized, and you know that. So I was just coming
Right,
over the
that's true.
years, and I would come religiously almost every Sabbath, come to the services, and then that was just it for me. I would come to church and just come to church. Um, in the earlies, it was my mom was sending us, and then after a while, like I guess when it got to 12, 13, so it was just a decision that I made for myself. Like for her, it was like if I want to go, I can go, and if not, well, I don't. I know for sure, maybe the biggest struggle was the fact that our church was so close to where we used to play football. So like we used to, as soon as I finished from church, like the guys outside waiting for me, the other guys from the village waiting. And then I just rush, go home, change my clothes, I'm back down there. So sometimes people even get to the church properly yet. And I'm down there in the field playing football. I just literally came out of the church now, and I'm back on the field right there playing football right next to the church. And I know a lot of persons, if they remember, well, they can't forget that because that happened for a while, you know. And I can remember like persons like yourself and for sure Ian and stuff would have spoken to me like a couple times and say, you know what, brother, church finish and maybe need to accept and take, your life see more seriously, and God has a special plan for you and whatnot. And in those talkings, simply as you take it, you may think that maybe you're talking to someone and you don't mean nothing. But reality is simply as you're telling me that I like sometimes I second guess myself, sometimes I tell them because sometimes because of guilt, I just tell them, hold on, I come inside, wait until every church member leaves and then come down. Because after a while I kind of start feeling a bit of guilt. But then, after that and then when Dutton had his crusade for sure, he preached some messages that really hit home, trust me. And that's when I made the
Well, I
decision.
don't get to that point as yet. I know we're
My
going to get there,
apologies.
but
My apologies.
yeah,
My
that's okay.
apologies.
That's okay.
So
Um, but I'm sure there must have been some pushbacks with persons not understanding that you were just attending the church and that you were not a Seventh-day Adventist member, but they were holding you to the
well,
same standard of the members. And I'm sure
at
there
that
must have been some difficult moments there.
yes, that was true. Well, despite I wasn't a member, there were many things that I did not do, even though I wasn't a member. So
Right.
like I didn't smoke, I did not like I didn't eat carbonados, yeah, dirty things for sure. So even if I wasn't an actual member, I wasn't doing those things. Um, I had a little, the pork and ham in the earlies, but like when I got in my teenage years, yes, because my mother was, you have to eat what is
She
provided.
provides, right?
Yes, yes, yes. But after I got bigger, I decided, hold up, said, nah, I'm done with that. So I cut that out completely. So the guys was like, a joke, you make. You're worried them over there, them man, you think they never eat them when they be younger, so like things like that, they tell me. I'm like, no, 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 it's okay. Like, but tell them I don't eat it before. It's not like I haven't tasted it, so I don't need it again. You understand? And then they were like, ah, let's joke, you make. So that many times we pressure me, but after a while I realized I took a stance. So like even when other persons used to come and try to offer, I said, Tal, you boy move for you with the someone by the man bars, the man you know son with there now. So like even they were defending me before even I got a chance to say anything. So when it comes to even eating that, and even sometimes when they decided to smoke, even before I got baptized, so they would jot one side and they said, Tal, I can't smoke on the man like that. No, maybe the man just smoking. So even then, they would jot one side, So even now, even more, like even the younger guys now, when we go by the football field, if they see me, like they try one guy, like I'm not even their parents now, and you will see them literally turn their back or they go by Shagas, or they try to out it just as a result of, that is not,
It's the respect for the principle that
yes,
they know that you hold to. Yes. So, how long now since you've been a Seventh Adventist, baptized Seventh Adventist member?
13 years. I stand to be corrected, but it should be roughly 40, 13, 14 years, going on 14 years. Because I think this one would have been when they had the crusade, I think. So it'll be
Yeah.
over 14 years now.
Earlier, you indicated that Dutton was preaching, and you
Yes.
came to Dutton's crusade. Do you think you can remember which particular sermon that really gripped your attention? You said there were many good sermons, but is there a
Ah,
particular sermon that really gripped you? You may not remember, but maybe there's something
okay.
about that sermon.
I don't remember. I know for sure he was speaking about when Christ was coming for sure and who he was going to come for. And he mentioned about even the mistakes and stuff that we would have made in our life, even our prior time. It doesn't matter because as long as you come to Christ, he'll wipe it off and whatnot. But then he went into telling like a story about another young person in another country when he had a previous evangelistic series. And he was saying how the person was literally, I guess, what we call the worst of the worst now. The person would have killed persons. The person was out there doing listen everything. And he said the person came a few nights. The guy wanted to get baptized. He decided, uh, he changed his mind on the day. But he said when the guy was like leaving, going back home, like he said he feels so guilty. Then he almost got into an accident. He came back. He still was struggling. He did not want to. And then he said eventually by the next week he did get baptized. And he said that even though that the guy is an elder in his church. So like for me, it's like for a person who was down that road, that if we want to say that dirty, bad, bad, awful road, that could have made that transition. It's like for me, I did do all those bad things, and I said like for
Right.
me, it's like for me now it's time to start like to take my life seriously. Um, I won't live forever. There's no promise of life for tomorrow or next month or 2 years from now. So I decided that I had to make that decision for sure to get with Christ and to take my life. So then even as soon as I got baptized that Sabbath afternoon, because I'm telling you, when they had the crusade was where we used to play football, so that took up the whole field. So football was off the charts for those few weeks. So when
Right.
they took down the tent now, the guys and they came back like, hey, for me telling nah, we done with that now for now, man. And then because as a result of that, like football, like us in our age group there, like between Friday and Saturday, the football has ceased and even up to now. No football has been playing in our time now, going up for the last decade.
That's true.
That I can remember. No Friday and Saturday football has been playing since. It's just a norm. Football is from Sunday to Thursday, and Friday night and Saturday nights, no football. So,
So, what would you say was your family's response, your mom in particular, and your close friends after you
okay,
got
well,
baptized? Were they elated? Were they kind of wondering if you would stand to your decision?
okay, I would say let me start. Well, for sure, my father he was here that day. He was like, okay, got baptized. Okay, it was like, okay, you made a decision. That's it. Um, my mother was like, in her opinion, it was long overdue because we have been attending. Me and my sister would have been attending for so
Okay.
long, and we did not make the decision. So she's like, okay, you did it. So all right, maybe just accept us to, well, expect us, sorry, to you know, at least show a little more maturity and be a little different in certain things that we are actually doing also. When it comes to friends now, some of them were like, boy, I'm glad, especially I'm going to go to church friends first of all. Like, yeah,
Mm.
finally, you got baptized, and they're so happy that I did made that decision. Friends that were non-Adventists now were like, boss, you sure? And then something like, boy, I mean, I believe you get up too long and whatnot. No, you might tell go church Saturday, but you can still coming down, I mean, I go, go to one, because I just go carnival and whatnot for sure. So you tell me done with that and all that to them, but they couldn't believe. And say, Tal, your boy, you make kind of go juvie, so we tell her, your boy, but done with that, but this have to make a serious step, and yeah, we're done with the carnival business, we're done with all them play football and time we can't go all the other places there like that no more. So and then I realized because after the first, second year, the third boy, the man really not come nothing tall with how they get the picture that he's serious boy. So like that in turn, and even some of them, even up to today, they stop going to like some of them stop going altogether, and some now have even reduced the amount of places that they're going now because they realize that okay, I'm not going now, and like even if they have other friends, they're not comfortable going because their friends, despite we're not well, they were not Christians. I was not a Christian. We opted out of so many troublesome situations. Like when we could have done so many wrong things, I think God protected us and we decided against it, even when we had the upper hand to do certain things, and we decided against it. So for them now, they decided just based on morality, I guess, that they would not do certain things. And I guess when I would have spoken to them about do it even now, when we talk to them about certain things, they say, boss, where till I go carnival for tell me. Where I get out of that? I give up $300-400 worth of money to do what exactly? Just
Exactly.
for spend one day in a hot sun, get wet up and maybe get sick. Like what a purpose. We like in a purpose some more. You understand? If you try to say fun and that's not fun. So for them, some of them just kind of ease up, and even some of them just go juvie alone. They don't go nothing else. So for them, then that's like, they just go juvie just for the jumping up, and that's it. So eventually, maybe they too might decide to take a serious step in their life also. But I guess, you have to let the spirit work upon them.
Yes. Growing up as a young Christian is sometimes a challenging thing. Um, you get tested um, because you're young, you're in the prime of your age, and there's so many things that beckons your interest. What do you do to keep you strong and to keep you going in the faith?
Well, I would tell you for sure when, well, I would say younger I am because I'm still young. So I say younger
Yes.
than I am. I think
Right.
the challenges are more difficult to deal with, especially with peer pressure. And I can tell you now, for the generation coming now, it's going to be even more difficult because I'm going to tell you, social media has changed the way of life, literally. Like the dynamics have changed. Whereas I'm sure you can tell when you were growing up, to if you knew a girl, let's say she was going to peer school, you know, see she maybe until maybe once a month when they have some kind of island school program somewhere. You know, see she again right now. Easy, you understand? So, but now with these young people now, they can know people that live in Glanville's Old Road just by a click of a button, and they can keep in contact with them virtually until they see them physically. So now that has changed that dynamic about them now. So even sometimes now we can see there's a challenge with them to hold face-to-face conversations because they're so accustomed to the not actually speaking to a person live. They like the text messages stuff. Um, I would not say because of course they say there's nothing new under the sun, but temptation is a real thing and it is coming in many different forms now for younger persons now. I can even tell you like certain things you're going on now. There's so many pop-up ads and most of them are like what to call it? They're like sexual stuff, like X-rated and stuff just pop up. It's not that they're going on it, no. They might go in on a site, but that is just a pop-up ad it shows and they might just click on it randomly and they might see and say, boy, let me take on chance and try peep my yard in a year whatnot. Let me just take on chance and whatnot. And then your computer might attract a virus and they're gonna lie and say they don't know what happened. But it might be as a result of that. But I would say the temptation for them is gonna be great. They're gonna have to pray a lot for sure. I know that some persons even because coming to church is not adequate enough. I would say that first and foremost. Because and I gotta speak to the young people first of all, because young people come to church and some of them literally on their phone from church start to church end. So you literally come to church and don't get anything because you're not paying attention. You might even not being on the phone, but you might be sitting next to somebody and they chat through the whole entire service. So again, you miss the point completely. And then you might only attend Sabbath services alone and don't attend anything else. So and you may not pray in the week, you may not study your lesson study, so you're not having anything to go upon because your Christian walk is like, let's use a seedling that you're going to plant. Let's use a mango tree. I know mango tree will not be within 2 months, not 3 months, maybe not even 6 months, a year. It's going to take some time. So to grow with Christ is going to take time too, and they need to, and you can't just leave the mango tree there by itself. You have to water it. You have to make sure sometimes the weeds around it, make sure sometimes blight's not on it. You have to take care of it. So in your walk with Christ, you have to take care of yourself with Christ. You have to make sure you pray, even find somebody that they can work with you, because that's very important. Like you can't do certain things yourself. So if a person is praying with you, if you know somebody is studying a lesson and they can tell you, hey, you're gonna study Tuesday part, you study Wednesday part, that you can't even go over it. It will ensure that you will learn something you can share with that person and even with another person. So those are aspects you can use to, and definitely keeping Christian friends. I would say persons that you go to church with, but persons who love Christ and will not deter, because sometimes persons in the church really derail you too. So I would encourage them, don't let persons in the church discourage you, because I have been down that road a few times, and I can tell you it's a road that is not an easy road for sure. And anybody that is in the church that is passionate about the work for the church will understand that there are a lot of persons who come to criticize the work of the church, and they will cause you to question your walk. Sorry, to question your walk with God for sure. So I encourage, because I'm speaking to the young people. I know some older folks would have gone through this too, but I'll ask them to hold on to God, because He definitely is faithful and He will guide you to the end.
Um, before I lead into my next question, maybe a part of my next question is, as a young person growing up in church, do you think that the older folks or the more mature folks are too hard on young people?
I would say yes. It's like a 80% yes and a 20% no. And I will tell you why. They might have, let's say they're 50 adults in the church. Only about 10 of them will will be compassionate with you. They will understand that, listen, baby, I have been there. I know you're young, okay, making mistakes. We want to encourage you to not do it. Other persons, they're not trying to encourage you. They're telling you, listen, you're doing this. Um, Man, they want to try to censor you. They want out the church. You're not supposed to go up. They could do this on the to function on a Sabbath or any service for the church. They don't want you to do X, Y, Z. If your name come up for office, they shut you down. And that's I think that a lot of persons will get discouraged by, because you and a person might be talking all this time, and then your name come up for office, and then they're going to discredit you on the basis of maybe one thing that you may have done maybe 3, 4 years ago. And it never come to you personally. Maybe the two of you all talk now. And as a member of the church, I think you can go to anyone. You should be able to and say, hey, brother, I see you would have been, I don't know, going into the neighbor ground and a pick off on the mango. You know me to take that. You shouldn't do that and go and sell. You maybe should have just asked, see, because the guy is using it as a medium for support for his family, and you stealing the mango is going to limit the finance. You don't tell the person that, but then you're gonna wait until a point in time come where you're gonna try to jump the person and say, hey, no, 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 he thief mango, and that has never been brought to the person before. And then, as you know, I can only speak to our church culture. Everybody there is kind of intertwined, whether it be by family or just by friendship. And
True.
somebody's gonna go back to the person and inform them, listen, boy, we really wanted to be one deacon or one Sabbath school superintendent or elder, but we heard that you were stealing some mangoes, so we can't allow you to serve. And they say, how you know that? And they say the person may have told them, and you couldn't believe that the same person you talk to all the time, who never told you to stop doing the wrong, but they use the opportunity to point out the wrong. So, like that's like a hard aspect where I find that, and that mostly, I'm not saying it don't happen with young people, no, but 90% of the time is the older folks who do that, not only to young people but to other church members. So I would say sometimes that they're hard, especially when it comes to, I would say, dressing. The older folks are very hard and fast with that. Sometimes it can discourage the young folks. I understand that the church, well, should I say the church? I could say our church. Let me say our church has a standard, and I understand that. So I guess that's yeah, that's how it is really. And I leave that.
Okay.
I leave it right there.
Okay.
I
Is
leave
there
it.
an experience since you have been in the church that has really tested your faith and made you think, have second thoughts about the decision you made originally to be part of the church?
Yeah,
Is there an
just
experience?
one specifically. Um, I would say there's more than one, but this is the top one for sure. Where another church member would have decided to start. I would say a rumor because I would want to say a lie, but it was a rumor that was a very dishonest rumor about not just myself, but a few other young guys in the church, and then it blew out of proportion. And not only myself, like a lot of them, like because we met, like because we usually meet and stuff, and we were praying, and then we made a decision not to come back to the church. Like we decided, okay, no, let's just go to certain other churches, just not come to church. Let's us just meet on Sabbath as a group and just not come back to church because we can't believe a member would have done that for no reason, had no, I don't know, like we couldn't believe it was hard. It was like shocking for so many of us. It it caused a few of us, well, if not all of us, to shed a few tears. I would say that much for sure. That happened. It happened for sure. And like we were so discouraged after that time. We had no intentions of doing anything in church for forever, literally because of that. Because we couldn't understand why. Like, why would you do that? That was like lies from the pit of hell. If I must say that, it was like that. Honestly, like we couldn't believe. So that caused like a break off because we used to do some things together as like a group, and that literally made us stop doing so many things. It's literally. So we literally stopped doing things as a group, stopped doing everything altogether. So we stopped going. We used to go jogging in the mornings. We stop it. Sometimes, occasionally, maybe once a month, we like walk to the beach like a little hike. We stopped that all together. We used to maybe go to town on a Saturday night. All of us go buy pizza or something or cool out and chat and bust two joke. We stop it. Like we just decided, you know what, just not like nothing anymore to avoid any controversy or any more lies. Let's just finish everything all together. So I guess they're gonna have to start another room altogether. So that's the only thing we would have on, but it could not have been about the same thing again. So we stopped everything. So that really wrecked a lot of us, just because we didn't know why somebody we want to do young persons that. And at that time we were so young that we like the age range was like about between like 20, like about 8, 17, 16, 17 to about 22. So we were fairly young, like young guys. And yeah.
Okay, there's some persons in the church who have there are some persons in the church, not our church necessarily, but who have grown up in Christian community, who no longer who said there's no interest for them with God because some of them has been to the point where they said there is no God. Um, this thing is a waste of time. What would you say to a person who says that there's no God and I have no interest in God?
Okay. How should I answer that question? Okay. I'm gonna try to tackle it on two levels. One, I know persons who think everybody is baptized with is naturally, we call them a Christian based on baptism. Conversion is a process. So because there are many persons even who got baptized at some very young ages, sorry, like 9, 10, 11, coming up there, where they would have done it because their parents would have asked them majority of the time. So they would not have known God for themselves, because everybody has to go through that for themselves to know who God is. You have to know God for yourself. If you look back at the Bible, there are many stories, all the writers in the Bible were experiences persons had with God. So you realize that all letters to persons telling about guidance and instructions and whatnot. But you realize that persons would have had their their experiences that you could have learned from for sure. You could have, even the story of Job is a very good example where Job would have endured hardship upon hardship, and he did not lose his faith in God. So that's one example that we can use to know for sure that, listen, no matter how hard the road will get, because for him, we were thought that, okay, maybe you lose one, two, three, four of your children, think that, oh, that's not too bad. you lose all your possessions. Your wife is telling you, bah, it's a joke you make. You tell us a God day. You understand? So it's like with those things, when you tell yourself, listen, if he still could have believed up to that point that God was still the same God who more or less gave him all his possessions or gave him all the blessings he would have received before. Because generally, persons only question God's presence or God's existence when they're going through hard times. In good times, when everybody is healthy, when there's prosperity, where there is good finances, everybody say, "Yeah, God is good. God has blessed me." They stand up giving their testimony. You just get a job. Oh, yes, God has been good to me. But in hard times, always start question if God is there. If you lose a loved one, why God did this, and start to question it. But you need to understand the same God that is with you in the hard, in the good times, sorry, is the same God that is with you in the hard times. Because he said, he's very clear, and God's promises, he doesn't break any promises. He clearly said he'll not leave us nor forsake us, and that's a promise for sure we can hold on to. Because we will know for sure in our life, we can say our lives have been roller coasters. So sometimes it's good, then it gets bad, it gets back good, it gets even worse than the bad before, then it gets to a great level. So we just have to trust God and know that He is with us for sure, no matter where we are. And that's the fundamental thing. We need to understand that God, we can trust God fully because God is with us on our journey, no matter where we are. I think you're muted. I'm not sure.
Hypocrisy is a big word, and that people use all the time. And some people, because of the way people have treated them in the church, as you said, some your faith was shattered at one time because of this lie that was spoken of you and the other guys who were in the group. But there are other persons who in the church who have lost faith in the church because of similar situations, because of
Sure.
people who they look up to would have probably failed them. And they no longer have confidence in the church and the teachings of the church. What did you say to the person?
Well, I would tell them, first of all, go to church for people, first and foremost. Um, when you go to church, you're supposed to be going with the intention, one, to worship God, two, for you to learn something and edify yourself that you can even share with another person to encourage them if on their walk or even lead them to Christ. And Christ expects you to make disciples too. And you can't make disciples if you're going to stay home sulking around because somebody would have said something about you in the past. Even Christ was here, and Christ, as we know, was the more or less the perfect human, and they still had all manner of evil to say about him. And he was perfect. You are not perfect. We have so many flaws, and as the Bible clearly says, our righteousness is like filthy rags. And we need to look at ourselves and some introspection to find out that, we're really dirty. We're sinners. No matter how we think that we don't sin as another person, we're still sinners. And we need to understand no matter what that person would have said. Of course, because Christ clearly called out the Pharisees. He said that they were hypocrites. They do follow some part of the law, which is the same as our members in the church, but they still may have erred in other places. So don't let they discourage you, sorry, because they would not have been sinning the way you have been sinning. So all you need to do, and that because they're doing wrong, does not give you justification to do wrong. So if they're telling you you're doing wrong, you must find it in yourself to correct your wrong too. Don't try to justify it. You understand? And make sure you read the Bible for yourself, sorry, you don't look upon because the Ten Commandments alone does not clearly justify your sinful ways. So you have
True.
to read even deeper, going to Ephesians, Galatians, going down in the New Testament to find out exactly where you're erring for sure. Even when Christ would have used the parable with the young guy telling him to give up all what he had also too, because sometimes that's something we're holding on to that is hindering our walk too. So sometimes maybe they need to give up something to to progress their walk with Christ also. Because we like to hold on to things. Certain things that we say, no, we got baptized. Oh, God, me not give up that. Yeah, right. That now hinder me. I want that. And you think that it may not be hindering your walk, but you alone can work out your salvation. Not nobody in the church, pastor, elder, nobody. you alone can work out your salvation with God. So any decision you make is between you and God. So make sure, even if you deem persons hypocrite in the church, careful that you yourself is not a hypocrite also too. So if you know better, just do better. And Christ expects you to live a life that is pleasing to him and even draw close to him, because his expectancy is that none should perish but all should come to repentance.
Looking back at your short life, you're still a pretty young man.
Yes.
If you could change, is there anything, if it was possible that you could change in your years of existence, that you would change?
I would say, I would say no, and I would encourage everybody, if anybody asks in that question, to say no, because God has a reason why we would have went through so many things, because we wouldn't have been the person we are. Because if we skip some experiences, trust me, it would have molded us to be the persons we are now. I know, of course, we would like to skip all the bad and difficult times for sure. Nobody at all want those in their lives. But in skipping those, it would have not made you be the person you are today. I would say, regret. Ah, for me, I think the only thing is, I guess, would have been that because the church did not do it, and I guess I could not blame the church, because for me, if I wanted it done, or I needed it, I think I could have seek it out myself. Was that we would have done more studying, as in like we do studies outside of not just Sunday night and Wednesday night, because now they kind of shelve Sunday night in a kind of way. But we did like studies for persons who are interested in doing, should I say, let me say, lay evangelism. So it doesn't actually have to be like preaching, but we can go to persons and have discussions with them, because it's not everybody's gonna be converted or accept Christ based on a crusade message. It can be through a song or whatnot, or even just a discussion, or somebody say, hey, come let me study with you. But they read the other day, I'm hear somebody say something, they switch to a radio station. I'm gonna need you to come explain this to me. And I don't think many persons in the church, even currently, can do that, because they have not been adequately taught. Because coming to church to listen to sermon will not teach you that. You understand? So I would have said like deeper study in certain areas for sure. Like we would have learned, of course, about many different areas that we can speak about. I think many persons in church can do it. But there's certain areas of the Bible, certain texts that are not very clear cut, that persons would have, I know, if you want the Bible study, that person, because a lot of persons in the church, and I should have said Bible study maybe initially, like teach persons how to do Bible study. So while doing the Bible study, them and they can teach them, give them guidance as to how they can do it, maybe one on one or even with a smaller group. What's the best possible way they can do it and how they can reach people, so they can either teach them or help convert even other persons. And that's the only thing I think that one of my main regrets when it comes to church for sure that I would have wanted to get done. And if I would even go further back now to, I guess I would have said that maybe, I should have accepted Christ maybe even before the time I did, because I think that I would have earned really a lot, knowing that, because I knew better from long before when I got baptized at 19 there. And I should have done better, really. Because if I would have maybe lost my life or something happened to me, God forbid that, I would have made it right and I would have lost out for sure based on that. So that's the only two things for me I would have really wanted to change if I had. Going back, everything else that happened, I would have changed it, because it was needed for my journey, for my work for sure. So for persons who think that they wanted to exclude all the bad out their lives, I would tell them, nah, take all of them, enjoy them, and be happy that God has, because now you're still here today, despite the bad times and the rough times. And all they can do is use that as a platform to move forward.
Okay, there's every person, most persons in their walk of faith have a song or songs and scriptures that keep them grounded and lift their spirit from time to time. Is there a song, is there a verse that you
Ah,
carry with you all the time that you could fall
well,
back on?
well, trust me, there. They're like, boy, what was I tell you, boy? Okay, there's like for sure scripture. I would say for sure Psalms 118, verse 8, which says it's better to put your confidence in God than to put your trust in man. That's one for sure that I use all the time to know that in case, people might fail you or whatnot, that God clearly says it is his word. You should put all your confidence in him because he will not fail you. In addition to Romans 6:23, which would speak about for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God for sure is eternal life through Jesus Christ. So it's for sure telling me that despite of my sins, that Christ is there and his gift, long as I'm willing to accept it, is eternal life. In addition to what's that one now? I don't remember exactly how it starts because it's not my favorite verse, but I keep it in the back of my mind all the time. Um, though your sins be red
As
as scarlet, they shall be
we shall be
as wool.
no.
Yeah, why does yeah? I don't remember the exact starting
Right.
of the verse in
Let us go.
Ecclesiastes, but
They shall be as good. Yes,
yes.
yes.
So I know for sure that God is telling me, listen, no matter how much I would have sinned in the past, and even now I would have sinned now, because I'm not nowhere free of that. So he says, all I have to do is come to him, seek forgiveness, and more or less my slate is clean for sure. And when it comes to songs for sure, um 434, we speak of the realms in terms of hymns, that and come down fount of every blessing. Those two hymns are like my favorite ones for sure. And when it comes to not hymnal songs now,
Contemporary.
eh, contemporary, there's "You Are the Living Word" by Fred Hammond, and also your big song, "You Never Gave Up," I'll be by
Okay,
Highest
by
Praise for
his
sure,
praise.
for
Okay.
sure, for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
There's gonna be some young person who's gonna watch this is episode of Share Your Faith. What counsel would you give them as it pertains to their personal salvation, their personal walk with God?
But first and foremost, they have to work out that with God. They need to build a relationship with God, and in doing that, you can with any relationship using whether it be between you and your parents, you and your siblings, you and a friend, you and a person better than a friend. Communication for sure is important. So for one, you have to communicate with God. Two, you have to study for yourself also. So coming to church is not enough for you to build on your walk with God. So you have to study for yourself also. In addition to that, I know persons will you're gonna meet challenges whether it be at school, in your community, with your neighbors. You have to find a way to, I guess, make peace in a way. Sometimes it's not easy. I guess you can't get away sometimes from the fact of, I wouldn't say making enemies, but for peace sake, you might have to hold aside from certain persons. Not saying that you would not hail them, or if you see them, you're not saying good morning or whatnot, but you realize if every time you and this person have a conversation is going to be a confrontational one, I think that you should kind of avoid it. Like if you're trying to make peace, because some persons are very cantankerous and you can't get away from it, really. Honestly, some persons will just do that and bring back up things over and over like they are on repeat. And yeah, sometimes it's best for your salvation. You need to avoid it. Serious. Because if they're gonna just keep coming at you and nagging, bringing it up over and over and over, for you, you need to just keep away from that toxic situation. And outside of that, I think they should be good. Just make sure they seek God for forgiveness. Make sure they in turn offer forgiveness for persons who would have also wronged them. And I think they should be good. And that those are maybe the pillars you can strengthen your walk with God. And then for sure, they should also be leading persons back. So if that aspect is missing, you need to look. That's I think you need to look within yourself to find out if you're actually encouraging persons to come to Christ.
So we want to thank you for coming on Share Your Faith this evening. It was a blessing
Sure.
having you tonight. And we pray that as others view your sharing of your faith, that they will be drawn closer to God. May God continue to bless you in your walk. The road is not easy, but if
Not
you
at all.
remain faithful, a crown of will be yours when Christ return. God bless you. May God continue to bless your home. Maybe grant
All
your
right.
wife some